So today we will be discussing about intellectual property rights and business ethics. So intellectual property rights, or which is often called as IPR. We all are aware of the meaning of intellectual property right. What is included in intellectual property right, that also we are aware of, that patents are included, trademarks are included, design are included, logos are included, and your copyright is also included in the IPR Act. Now, how IPR is related with business ethics, that we are going to discuss in today's session. We will also be discussing about the ethical problems or issues which are being faced by the manager, as well as we will be discussing the basic model of ethical decision making. So in today's session, we will try to cover these three topics. So we will start with intellectual property rights. Now here we are going to cover the various problems which are being faced in the implementation of business ethics in intellectual property rights. Now, IPR and ethical practices. I'll give you a very simple example related to ethics in IPR. Now, we have organized various sessions on IPR. Last month itself, under our fourth dimension guest lecture series, we had started this semester with an IPR session by advocate Amruta Mehendale. There she has very clearly stated the meaning of IPR, what is copyright, what is patent, and what is trademark and design. So in her session, she has very clearly mentioned that if suppose an author has written a book, or suppose he or she has written a research paper or an article, so the IPR Act says that that particular article, that particular book, or that particular research paper which has been written by a particular author, it cannot be reproduced without the consent of that author. Or even if a complete paragraph is used by some other author without mentioning the name of the original author, it is considered as violation of intellectual property rights. And a case can be registered against the person who has violated the rights. So this is the law. Now we will talk about the loopholes and how it is related to business ethics. So this law, we are very clear that if somebody has written an article or a book or a research paper without his or her permission, we are not supposed to reproduce it in other research article or research paper. So that is we are aware of. But now the loophole is, many of you might be aware of that there is a concept called paraphrasing. Those who have written a research paper, or those who know what is a research paper, they will be aware of this concept called paraphrasing. Now, paraphrasing means that you have to reframe the sentences written by the original author. If you reframe the sentences and then you reproduces or you use those sentences in your research article, it is not considered as violation of copyrights. तो सपोज आपको 10 सेंटेंस कॉपी करने हैं, आपने 10 सेंटेंस को उसका मीनिंग वही रखा पर उसको पैराफ्रेज कर दिया, मतलब कि उसका जो फ्रेजिंग है वो अलग अलग कर दिया। तो जब हम ऐसा पैराफ्रेजिंग कुछ करते हैं तो इट इज नॉट कॉल्ड एज वायलेशन ऑफ कॉपीराइट, but this particular thing is always called as against business ethics, ethical practices, moral practices, practices which are based on values. I know that I have copied that article from a particular author. I have paraphrased that article. I have rewritten that article. जहां पे द है वहां पर ए डाल दिया। अगर एक सेंटेंस था कि मिस्टर राम वेंट टू ऑफिस एट 10 AM, मैंने चेंज कर दिया मिस्टर श्याम visited his office at 11 AM. So I have copied, but I have changed it. So it is not against the IPR law, but it is against the values, it is against the moral. It is morally not correct. What I am doing is I am copying and then reproducing it. So copy किया, थोड़ा सा change किया और उसको बदल दिया, so that is not at all ethical practice. So although it is not violation, you will not be punished by the law because you have not done anything which is against law, anything which can be called as illegal, but you have done a wrong thing which is not at all correct. Copying is not accepted. आपने चोरी की जो अगेंस्ट वैल्यूज है, so that is called as against ethics. So IPR and ethics are related. How they are related? That although many a times it is not illegal, but at the same time it becomes unethical. आपको अगर अपना आर्टिकल लिखना है तो आप अपने आप अगर वो आर्टिकल लिखते हैं बिना इधर उधर से कुछ चीजें चुराए, then it will be called as you are ethically correct. But if you are taking the help of paraphrasing, taking the help of various Google apps are there, various Google sites are there, which changes the sentences. आपको कुछ नहीं करना है, वो साइट पे जाना है. I'll not give you the name of the site, but there are n number of sites. You have to just copy those 4-5 sentences and you have to paste it in that particular site, and automatically everything will be paraphrased and you will get the end result. So that is an unethical practice. So IPR and ethical practices, it says that the practices which we are following should be ethical in nature. It should not be morally incorrect. Now, very famous cases, that neem patent or the patent of turmeric, we all are aware. हम सबको पता है कि बहुत जबरदस्त केस है कि किसी ने हल्दी का पेटेंट ले लिया कि हल्दी इज हैविंग दैट एंटीसेप्टिक क्वालिटीज इन इट. Now, although that person knew that he is not the person who is saying for the first time in the world that turmeric does have very good antiseptic qualities. But what benefit? He has taken the benefit of what? That no one has so far registered patent in the name of that related to the antiseptic quality of haldi or turmeric. तो मुझे पता है कि जो मैं कर रहा हूं वो मॉरली या इथिकली इनकरेक्ट है. लीगली इट मे बी करेक्ट कि आपने पेटेंट फाइल किया. क्यों किया? क्योंकि किसी और के नाम पर नहीं था. आपको फ्रीडम है, यू कैन फाइल अ पेटेंट एज पर लॉ. बट व्हेन यू आर aware of the fact that it is not an American, but since hundreds and thousands of years, the Indian culture, the Indian teachers, the Indian gurus, they have used this knowledge and they have shared that knowledge that haldi is having a very good antiseptic properties in it. At the same thing goes to neem also, कि जो नीम के पत्ते हैं उसमें मेडिसिनल क्वालिटीज. किसी ने किया नहीं था, इसीलिए किसी और ने कर दिया. पर उस व्यक्ति को पता है जो इंडिया का नहीं है, उसे पता है, उसने कहीं इंडिया की किसी किताब में पढ़ा था कि नीम is having a very good medicinal property. He came to know that no one has registered the patent in the name of medicinal properties of this neem tree. So he registered in his name. So at that time when he was registering in his name, according to law, as no one has registered that, he is correct. But from inside, morally, he knows that it is not him who has brought it to the notice of world that neem is having medicinal properties. So ऐसी चीज जहां पर हमें पता है, अंदर से पता है कि जो हम कर रहे हैं वो गलत कर रहे हैं, ऑल्दो इट इज लीगल, लॉफुल, गलत नहीं है वो, मतलब लॉ की नजर में गलत नहीं. बट अगर हम मॉरल्स की बात करेंगे, वैल्यूज की बात करेंगे, इथिक्स की बात करेंगे, तो इट इज इनकरेक्ट. सो आईपीआर एंड इथिकल business ethics says that whenever any company, any organization is sharing information related to its products, related to its service qualities, all the information should be based on ethical standards of the company, ethics of the company. It should not happen that only for the sake of, say, earning good respect or earning good image in the eyes of society or general public, the company has written the ethics of the company, which are at the highest level, that we will be following this, we will be following that, we will be giving these facilities to our employees, we will be taking care of their family also, we will be going ahead or above the law to help the family members of the employees, we will be giving many facilities to the society people, who are living near in the nearby area of the organization. So if the organization is writing these things only for the sake of good image, and if these things are not implemented in reality, it will be called as unethical practices of the organization. So that is related to the ethics and IPR. Now we will move on to the ethical problems or issues faced by the managers. First one is conflict of interest. Second is managing people. Next is workforce diversity, then effective communication, managing the ethical conduct in modern times, shaping the organization's ethical climate, workplace safety issues, and legal liability. So these are the 8 major problems. We will not say that these are the only problems related to ethics which are being faced by the manager, but these are the general problem, these are the common problem, these are the main problems which are faced by the managers. So first one is conflict of interest. Now here we are talking about the conflict of interest between interest of the employee and the interest of the organization. Pehla ethical problem. The manager has to deal with this conflict of interest, that either he should take care of the interest of the organization, that is earning more profit every year, or he or she should concentrate on giving more facilities to the employees. तो वो एम्प्लॉई की तरफ सोचे कि कैसे जो ज्यादा प्रॉफिट हुआ है वो कैसे एम्प्लॉइज के साथ शेयर किया जा सकता है, या कैसे उनको बेटर फैसिलिटीज दी जा सकती है, या फिर कंपनी की तरफ से सोचे कि इस बार इतना प्रॉफिट हुआ है, अगली बार और ज्यादा प्रॉफिट होना चाहिए, उसके अगले साल और प्रॉफिट होना चाहिए. So this sort of conflict of interest always is there in the minds of the manager. चाहे वो सीनियर मैनेजर है, जनरल मैनेजर है, सीईओ है, तो उनके कंपनी का भी प्रेशर है कि एवरी टाइम द कंपनी वांट्स मोर एंड मोर प्रॉफिट. उनके ऊपर एम्प्लॉइज का भी प्रेशर है कि एम्प्लॉइज आर अवेयर ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट द कंपनी इज इनटू प्रॉफिट, सो दे आल्सो डिमांड अ परसेंटेज फ्रॉम दैट पर्टिकुलर प्रॉफिट. So here the manager has to handle this conflict of interest well. How he can satisfy both the parties, how he can convince the management to share more facilities, more incentives with the employees, and how he can convince the employees that the management is ready to increase your salary, increase your incentives, if you agree that you will make the organization more profitable this year. So this is the first dilemma, or this is the first problem, which is called as ethics conflict of interest. The second problem is related to managing people. In every organization, the employees are there who are working for the organization. In short, we can say that every organization consists of people who are working for that organization. Now here, people are to be managed. Now, how these people can be managed successfully Again, here there is a question of how the company is implementing its ethical practices. Now, every company has certain rules and regulations. Rules and regulations, say, related to promotion. Every company, whether it's a small company or a mid-sized company or a large company, every company does have its promotion policies, which specifically mentions the criteria the candidate has to fulfill if he or she desires to be promoted in the organization. अगर आपकी इच्छा है कि आपका प्रमोशन होना चाहिए, तो हर कंपनी में क्राइटेरिया रहता है जो हर व्यक्ति को पता होना चाहिए या बताया जाता है कि अगर आप प्रमोशन की इच्छा रखते हैं तो आपको इतना परफॉर्मेंस दिखाना पड़ेगा. Now, many times what happens is, even after showing that much performance, many a times the candidate is not given the promotion or given the incentives which were promised by the manager at the start of his job. Now, reasons can be many. One of the reasons can be that only one position was there and there were 2-3 candidates. Mr. A, Mr. B, and Mr. C were there. So only one person can be promoted. Here, Mr. C was the top performer. Mr. B was the second performer, and Mr. A was the last performer. Now, the rules and regulation of the company was very clear that any person who becomes the highest performer for the organization in that particular period will be given promotion by the organization. Now, here, if Mr. C, who is the best performer, and Mr. A, who is the least performer, but Mr. A is very closely related to the general manager of the organization, and general manager is the highest authority of the organization. Now, here the HR manager is having a ethical problem. अब यहां पर एक ethical problem हो गया. क्या problem हुआ कि मिस्टर सी जो बेस्ट परफॉर्मर है उनको प्रमोशन दिया जाना चाहिए, या मिस्टर ए जिनका परफॉर्मेंस मिस्टर सी से काफी कम है, बट he is very closely related to the general manager of the organization. Now, this type of ethical problems are being faced by many or most of the managers. At the time of performance evaluation or at the time of performance appraisal, when the list was to be prepared, that who are the people who can be given or who can be considered for increase in salary, then one of the employee who was not at all a good performer comes with a recommendation letter by, say, minister or MP or MLA, which states that Mr. So and so, I know Mr. So and so for so long, he is a very good person, so please see to it that he gets promotion in the organization. And below those details, the name of the minister or MLA or MP is written, his designation is written. So that employee comes with that recommendation letter and he submits that to the HR department. Now, if the HR department takes a decision of giving promotion to Mr. C, which is correct also, which is true also, then maybe Mr. A will not be happy, or the person with whom Mr. A is closely related, when he will come to know that his recommendation letter was not considered by the HR manager, that person will also not be happy with the HR manager. Now, here the confusion is, here the problems which is faced by the manager is that whether he should act according to the ethical practices or he should act as per unethical practices to save his job, because he knows that if he is going to follow the ethics, he may lose his job. जैसे ही मिस्टर जो भी मिनिस्टर है उनको पता चलेगा कि the recommendation letter was not considered for promotion and his candidate, that is Mr. C, is not being promoted, and instead of Mr. C, Mr. A has been promoted in the organization, or instead of Mr. A, sorry, Mr. C has been promoted in the organization. Now, if such thing happens, then we can say that it is very difficult. So managing people is not that easy. It is very difficult. And that too, when we are talking about implementing ethical practices in the organization, you are managing people. So these people should be ethically managed, no matter how closely you are related with the topmost authority of the organization. If you are not performing, you will never be considered for promotion in this organization. If such is the stand of the manager, then we can say that the manager is ethically correct. So that is the meaning of managing people. Next thing is workforce diversity. Workforce diversity, again, very simple concept. Everyone is aware of what is the meaning of workforce diversity. Nowadays, this has become very common, very regular, and it is spreading also very fast in all the organizations, not only in the country, but outside the country also. Workforce diversity, it means that nowadays males are also working in the organization, females are also working in the organization, then people from different religion have started working in organization. Earlier it used to happen that people from particular religion will only be considered to work in the organization. People who belong to a particular caste, they will only be considered for giving opportunity to the in the organization. People belonging to a particular part of the society, they will only be considered for the jobs in the organization. Now, if such thing takes place, it is not ethical. Ethical means that when you are giving equal representation to male employees as well as female employees, to the employees who are of different religions. Now, if in India, if a particular religion is given more importance, and if any employee who belongs to that particular religion is being given, say, out of the way support by the organization, that for other religions, the criteria for promotion is that you have to be there in the organization for the last 5 years or more than 5 years, then your production should be the best. your quality of production should be the best. So these are the various parameters for getting promoted in the organization. But if it talks about a particular religion only, if you belong to this religion only, then these rules are applicable, otherwise not. If such thing happens, then again it will be called as unethical practices. So workforce diversity means that people are coming from different walks of life to the organization for working. One person is coming from, say, Pune, two people are from, say, Punjab, 10 people again are from Pune, then two people are from Ahmednagar, five people from Aurangabad. So people are coming from different localities, different places. Then in terms of gender also, some of the employees who are working in the organization are females. Some of the employees who are working in the organization can be categorized as males. So on the basis of this, we can say that nowadays workforce diversity is being implemented in most of the organizations. So here, if the organization keeps these rules and regulations on paper only, and it is not actually implemented, then we can say that the organization is into unethical practices. Next one is effective communication. Now, everyone is aware of the meaning of communication. We are here not talking about the English communication or English language. Here we are talking about the two parties involved in the process of communication. One is sender and the other one is a coder. Now, sender is the person who sends the information. Coder is the person who listens to the information, interprets that information, and gives the reply back to the first person. So that process is called as communication. Now, how effective communication can be uh, created or can be made? So the rules are very simple. Whatever you want to convey to others, if you are able to do it successfully, then means you are an effective communicator. जो आपको बताना है, अगर आप सामने वाले को अच्छे तरीके से बता देते हैं और उसे आपकी बात समझ में आ जाती है, तो we can say that your communication is very effective, right? Next one, managing for ethical conduct in modern times. Now, in modern times, we all are aware that all the organizations are competing with each other. Gone are the days when monopoly used to happen. Now, monopoly is not there. Very tough competition is there. Every company wants to be at the top. Every company wants to survive in this difficult times. So when the company is into its survival mode, now we can very easily find out, for example, for the last more than 2 years, many of the companies, they have allowed their employee to work from home, do work from home. And many companies have suffered a very huge loss also. So now when the company has started again, 2 months back, some companies started, 6 months back, some companies started. and now they are trying to be on the right track. जो गाड़ी उनकी हिल गई थी, अब वो धीरे धीरे गाड़ी को सही ट्रैक पे लाना चाहते हैं. Now the ethical problem here is that when the company has undergone losses or stagnation for the last 2, 3, or 4 years, now after that the company starts concentrating more on profits, and they give less concentration or less preference to the ethics or ethical practices. So that is not at all correct. Whether you are at the top of the world, or because of some reason you have come down, still you have to respect the other person. You have to respect the values of the person. The person as a whole, you need to respect him. Then only we can talk about ethical nature. So managing ethical nature in modern times, it is not very easy. पहले सिर्फ मोबाइल नोकिया कंपनी ही बनाती थी, इसलिए जब भी नोकिया को लगा कि लॉस होने लग गया है या प्रॉफिट हमारा कम हो रहा है, they used to increase the price. And as that was the only company which was manufacturing mobile phones, or cheap mobile phones we can say, or economical or affordable mobile phone we can say, so they had that monopoly, that whenever they used to feel that profits have come down, they used to increase the price of the product, that is the mobile phone. That was possible 25, 30 years ago. Is it possible today? The answer will be no, it is not possible, because there is no monopoly now, right? Now, for manufacturing of mobile phones, there are many companies. We can think of, say, various Chinese companies, European companies, or sometimes Indian companies too. So here we are talking about the ethical conduct. Ethical conduct means that no matter whether you are in profit or in loss, you should never compromise your ideals, your values, your good habits. So these things should never be compromised against money. It should not happen that there was some pressure from the organization that for the last 3 years we are into losses. Now, even if some small manipulation is to be done, which will not be noticed by anyone, if the organization conveys it to the employees that do whatever you want, the ultimate aim of the organization is to earn profit. If such thing happens, we can say that the organization is not into ethical practices, right? Next one, shaping the organization's ethical climate. Now, who can shape the organization's ethical climate? So again, the answer is very simple. It is the management board, or it is the highest authorities or higher authorities of the organization, which can change the ethical climate of the organization. जनरल मैनेजर ने क्लियरली वहां पर एक नोट लिख दिया कि चाहे मेरा क्लोज रिलेटिव हो या किसी का भी क्लोज रिलेटिव हो, We are not going to compromise on our rules. The rule says that the highest performer becomes eligible for promotion. So only that person will be considered for promotion and no one else. So that is called as shaping the organization ethical climate. अगर ऐसा होता है तो ethical climate कैसा होगा? अच्छा होगा. सब एम्प्लॉइज को एक मैसेज जाएगा कि whether you are closely related to the higher authorities or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is your performance. If you perform well, you are welcome in the organization. If you do not perform, you will be shown the door. Next one is workplace safety issues and legal liability. Workplace safety issues means that the environment, the business setting in the organization should be safe for the employees to work in. Safe होना चाहिए. अब अगर लॉ में अगर लिखा है कि जो व्यक्ति फाउंड्री में काम करता है, जहां पे हीट बहुत ज्यादा रहती है, या स्टील इंडस्ट्री में काम करता है जहां पर स्टील को पिघलाया जाता है, तो अगर आप में से किसी ने देखा होगा कि जब स्टील को पिघलाया जाता है जिस जगह पे, जो भी व्यक्ति वहां काम करता है उसे एक सेफ डिस्टेंस पे खड़ा किया जाता है और उसे कहा जाता है कि इस डिस्टेंस को आप क्रॉस नहीं करेंगे, यहीं से ही आप अपना काम करेंगे. यू विल नॉट गो वेरी क्लोज टू दैट पर्टिकुलर मशीन विच इज डूइंग द मेल्टिंग प्रोसीजर, जहां पर वो लोहा या स्टील मेल्ट किया जा रहा है. तो रूल के हिसाब से अगर रूल कहता है कि 10 फुट का अंतर होना है तो कंपनी बनाती है 10 फुट का अंतर. रूल में अगर लिखा गया है कि दोनों हाथों में दस्ताने होने चाहिए, नीचे रबर के शूज होने चाहिए, कंपनी वो भी प्रोवाइड कराती है. So that is not ethics. That is called as law, legal requirements. That is not ethics. Ethics is something else. कि जो लॉ में एक्सपेक्टेड है अगर वो आप अपने एम्प्लॉइज को दे रहे हैं, तो इट इज यू आर डूइंग द कंप्लायंस अंडर लॉ. दैट इज नॉट ethics. Ethics is something else. What you are doing for the overall development of your employee. क्या आप अपने एम्प्लॉय को अपनी मशीन से ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस देते हैं, वैल्यू देते हैं? Then we can say that yes, you are into ethical practices, otherwise it is not. It is very easy. I have told you n number of times that it is very easy to say that honesty is the best policy. बहुत easy है ये बोलना. 3-4 शब्द है जो बहुत हम लोग आराम से बोल देते हैं. Honesty is the best policy. क्यों बोलते हैं? क्योंकि हम लोग बचपन से सुनते हुए आ रहे हैं. पर जब हमें इनको इम्प्लीमेंट करना है अपनी लाइफ में, कितने लोग सीरियसली इसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर पाते हैं? जैसे ही हमारे पास पोजीशन आती है, जैसे ही हमारे पास अथॉरिटी आती है, वी स्टार्ट गोइंग अवे फ्रॉम दीज प्रिंसिपल्स, दीज इथिक्स. जैसे ही मेरे पास पावर आया, मुझे पता चला कि एक सिग्नेचर के 5,000 रुपए मिलते हैं. मैं एक बार शायद नहीं बोलूंगा क्योंकि आई एम वेरी ईमानदार. शायद 2 बार बोलूंगा, नहीं मुझे नहीं चाहिए. तीसरी बार जब मुझे ये एहसास होगा कि सब ले रहे हैं, सब एंजॉय कर रहे हैं, मैं ही नहीं ले रहा हूं, इसीलिए मुझे फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम्स है, तो आई विल ऑल्सो स्टार्ट एक्सेप्टिंग द गिफ्ट्स. So although it is not illegal as per law, but it is unfair as per ethical standards of the company, against ethics, right? Next one is, the last one is legal liability. बहुत सारे लॉज हैं, उसमें बहुत सारे प्रोविजंस हैं. Now the main objective of these laws and the provisions of these laws is to promote and protect the interest of the employees who are working in the organization. So legal liability of the company is that whatever is legal, that is to be fulfilled. No company is allowed to run if they are not ready to fulfill the legal requirement of that particular organization, because then the organization will be closed down. Now, legal liability means whatever liabilities are there, whatever responsibilities are there, that should be completed, that should be followed by the organization. But apart from that, what extra the organization is giving to its employee, that is to be noticed, that is to be checked, and that is called as legal liability. So it is almost 5 minutes are remaining, so I don't think that we will be able to complete this basic model of ethical decision making. Just take a screenshot of it and come prepared for tomorrow. We will have a good discussion. So a basic model of ethical decision making: identify the problem is the first stage. Then the second stage is identify the constituents. Third stage is diagnose the situation. Fourth stage is analyze your options. Fifth stage is make your choices, and sixth is act. So कोई भी अगर ethical decision अगर लेना है, that model we will be discussing in our next lecture. So till then, we will stop here. So tomorrow come prepared for a discussion. So thank you everyone.
Sir, just 1 minute.
Yes.
Sir, Neha here. Sir, I just
Yes,
wanted
Neha.
to check regarding this is not about the subject. Actually मुझे आपसे एक हेल्प चाहिए थी सर, कि हम लोगों को जो मतलब हम SPPU की साइट वगैरह में जब पुराने पेपर्स ढूंढते हैं, तो we are not able to find out the old papers for our reference just to prepare for the exams. So जैसे जो नए सब्जेक्ट हैं, सिलेबस है, हमारे पास तो उनका कुछ भी नहीं है, मतलब हम साइट में ही कुछ नहीं है. देन हमें कुछ रेफरेंस क्वेश्चंस रिगार्डिंग ईच सब्जेक्ट, जो भी हमारे कॉमन सब्जेक्ट हैं और हमारे स्पेशलाइजेशन के भी हैं, तो कैसे करेंगे हम? मतलब हमें कॉलेज से कुछ रेफरेंस क्वेश्चन पेपर्स मिलेंगे या ऐसे
क्वेश्चन पेपर्स आपने इसमें देखें क्या, यूनिवर्सिटी
कॉलेज की वेबसाइट पे?
नहीं, यूनिवर्सिटी.
यस सर.
प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन पेपर्स देखे आपने?
यस सर, बट मुझे नहीं मिल रहा है. द प्रॉब्लम इज मेरे को बाकी सबका मिल रहा है, थर्ड सेमेस्टर का, सेकेंड सेमेस्टर का, लेकिन मुझे फोर्थ सेमेस्टर के एक भी सब्जेक्ट का नहीं मिल रहा.
ओके, ठीक है. आई विल चेक एंड आई विल लेट यू नो बाय टुमारो.
यस सर, थैंक यू.
आई विल चेक, आई विल नोट इट डाउन, आई विल चेक एंड आई विल लेट यू नो टुमारो. So in tomorrow's session, I'll update you.
Yeah, yes sir.
Okay.
I'll wait.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.